I want you to think about the most important decision you made this week. Maybe you decided to quit a job, or maybe you just chose to stay up late reading. You feel absolute, unshakable certainty that you made that choice. You weighed the options, you deliberated, and your conscious mind pulled the trigger. I am going to completely dismantle that belief over the next 15 minutes. The most uncomfortable secret in modern science isn't that human beings are easily influenced. It is that the conscious part of your brain is almost certainly just a passenger. You aren't driving the car. You are just watching the scenery go by, desperately inventing reasons why you wanted to turn left. We are going to look at the exact mechanisms that control your behavior, starting with your neurons and ending with the physical laws of the universe. By the end, you will understand exactly why the concept of human agency is a biological fiction. Illusion 1, the neurological delay. For a long time, the debate about free will was strictly philosophical. Then we started putting human beings inside functional magnetic resonance imaging scanners. Back in the early 2000s, researchers in Leipzig ran a deceptively simple test. They put people in a scanner, gave them a button in each hand, and told them to press either the left or the right one whenever they felt the urge. The subjects watched a screen flashing random letters and noted exactly which letter was on screen when they consciously made their decision. If free will exists, the timeline should be linear. Conscious thought happens, the brain fires, and the finger moves. But that isn't what the data showed. The scans revealed that the unconscious brain was lighting up with the decision up to 10 seconds before the subject was consciously aware of making it. 10 full seconds. In neurological time, that is an absolute eternity. When researchers looked at the blood flow patterns in the scan, they could accurately predict which button the person was going to push long before the person themselves knew. More recently, in 2025, neuroscientists began using advanced machine learning algorithms to decode these preconscious signals with terrifying accuracy. They aren't just seeing the choice anymore, they are seeing the physical assembly of the reasoning behind the choice, entirely outside of the subject's conscious awareness. Your conscious mind isn't the chief executive officer making the call, it is just the public relations department writing a post hoc press release for a decision that the unconscious machinery already finalized. Illusion 2. The biological puppeteers. This is usually where people push back. They argue that pressing a random button in a lab doesn't count as a real human choice. Fair enough, let's look at the heavy decisions. Who you marry, what career you pick, and whether you take massive financial risks. We like to think those choices are immune to the biological basement, but they are completely saturated in it. Consider something as invisible as the bacteria in your digestive tract. Over the last few years, the scientific consensus around the gut-brain axis has evolved from a fringe theory into established biological fact. We now know that your microbiome manufactures roughly 90% of your body's serotonin. When you feel a sudden wave of anxiety that convinces you not to take a new job, or a surge of confidence that makes you launch a business, you attribute that to your personal intuition. But in practice, you might just be experiencing the chemical exhaust of a specific bacterial colony in your lower intestine that thrives on whatever you ate for breakfast. If you want a darker example, look at the parasite Toxoplasma gondii. It naturally infects rodents and literally rewires their brains to lose their fear of predators. This makes them easy prey for cats, which is where the parasite actually reproduces. That sounds like a neat piece of nature trivia, except that roughly 1/3 of the global human population is currently infected with it. Recent neurological studies show that humans with this infection exhibit drastically higher rates of entrepreneurial risk-taking and are significantly more likely to be involved in severe traffic accidents. A microscopic organism is quietly turning dials on their risk assessment hardware. When a person infected with this parasite decides to aggressively pass a truck on a blind curve, they will tell you they did it because they were in a hurry. They will rationalize the behavior. They will claim authorship of the action. They are completely blind to the biological puppeteer pulling the strings. We see this with modern environmental factors too. We know that heavily commercialized chemicals like phthalates actively suppress testosterone in humans. If a population experiences a massive drop in baseline testosterone, their aggregate behavior becomes less aggressive and more risk-averse. They don't choose to be more passive. The plastic packaging on their food alters their endocrine system, which physically restricts the types of thoughts their brains can generate. I'd argue this is the most terrifying part of the free will problem. Your brain is a closed box. It has no sensory receptors for its own neurochemistry. You cannot feel your dopamine receptors downregulating, and you cannot feel a parasite altering your amygdala. Because you can't feel the machinery operating, you assume you are operating the machinery. Illusion 3. The myth of the self-made mind. Once you strip away the illusion of immediate conscious control, you collide with the massive cultural industry built entirely on its existence. The entire self-improvement ecosystem, the modern meritocracy, and the prevailing hustle culture run on a very specific narrative. They claim that your outcomes are the direct result of your personal willpower. If you wake up at 5 in the morning and grind, you succeed. If you don't, you fail. But let's brutally dissect what willpower actually is. Stanford neurobiology professor Robert Sapolsky released an exhaustively researched framework recently that traces every human action backward. If you exhibit incredible self-discipline today, that behavior was shaped by your hormone levels this morning. Those hormone levels were dictated by the neuroplasticity of your brain during your adolescence. That brain development was constrained by your childhood environment and the epigenetic trauma inherited from your parents. Every single link in that chain was handed to you. You did not pick your parents. You did not construct your own prefrontal cortex. You didn't negotiate your genetic predispositions before you were born. When a highly successful tech founder praises their own relentless work ethic, they are taking credit for a neurological lottery they had absolutely no part in rigging. They happen to possess a dopamine reward system that gets highly stimulated by abstract problem solving and delayed gratification. If you took that exact same founder and slightly tweaked their genetic expression so their dopamine system responded more aggressively to immediate chemical stimuli rather than long-term rewards, they wouldn't be ringing the bell at the stock exchange. They would likely be struggling with severe addiction. This isn't an excuse for bad behavior, which is the immediate panic response most people have to this data. It is just an honest accounting of the physics of human behavior. We are remarkably complex biological algorithms responding to inputs. When the output is highly lucrative, we call it genius and celebrate the individual. When the output is destructive, we call it moral failure and punish them. But in both cases, the organism is just doing exactly what its programming and environment dictate. Illusion 4. The physics constraint. And the strange part is, defending free will usually requires retreating to the domain of pure physics. People who understand that biology is deterministic will often point to the quantum layer to save human agency. They argue that subatomic particles behave randomly. If the foundation of the universe isn't strictly determined, then there is room for unpredictability. And if there is unpredictability, there must be room for free will. This is a brilliant-sounding argument that completely falls apart the moment you actually think about it. Let's assume, for the sake of the thought experiment, that quantum randomness does bubble up and occasionally influence the neurons in your brain. Let's say a completely random quantum fluctuation causes a synapse to misfire, which makes you spontaneously decide to quit your job and move to a different country. Did you make that choice? No, a random roll of the subatomic dice made that choice. Substituting biological determinism for quantum randomness does not give you free will. It just makes you a slave to a roulette wheel instead of a slave to a train track. Neither scenario puts you in the driver's seat. Randomness is the exact opposite of intentional agency. To have true free will, you would have to be an uncaused cause. You would have to stand completely outside the laws of physics, making decisions that are influenced by absolutely nothing that came before them. Science has never found a single shred of evidence that such a mechanism exists anywhere in the universe. Illusion 5. The justice glitch. This realization completely breaks the foundation of modern society, which is probably why we fight so aggressively to ignore it. Think about the legal system. The entire architecture of criminal justice relies heavily on the concept of culpable intent. We punish people because we genuinely believe they could have chosen to act differently. If a person commits a violent crime, we lock them in a cage. But if we discover that they have a massive tumor pressing against their frontal lobe, completely destroying their impulse control, our moral outrage evaporates. We suddenly view them as a victim of their biology. We surgically remove the tumor and we don't hold them morally responsible for what the damaged brain did. But as our understanding of neuroscience deepens, the definition of a tumor starts to look uncomfortably broad. What if the violence wasn't caused by a localized cluster of cancer cells, but by a diffuse combination of severe childhood malnutrition, elevated cortisol levels from chronic stress, and a specific variation of the MAOA gene, often called the warrior gene? The physics are identical. In both cases, the physical state of the brain made the violent action inevitable. The only difference is that the tumor is easy to see on an MRI scan, while the genetic and environmental cocktail requires a deeper understanding of neurobiology. As the science improves, we are slowly realizing that every single human behavior has a physical cause. The gap where free will supposedly lives is just the gap in our current scientific knowledge. We use the term free will to describe the biology we simply haven't mapped yet. This doesn't mean we have to empty the prisons tomorrow. A society obviously has to protect itself from dangerous biological algorithms, just like you would quarantine a computer infected with malware. You don't quarantine the computer because you are morally angry at it. You do it to protect the network. If we actually accepted that free will is a biological illusion, our justice system would shift from a primitive mechanism of moral vengeance into a system of containment and systemic reprogramming. We would stop focusing on punishing the ghost in the machine and start aggressively fixing the environments that produce the damaged machinery in the first place. The utopian loophole. This is the part where the concept usually triggers an existential crisis. If you are just a biochemical puppet, what is the point of doing anything? Why not just lie in bed and let the universe unfold? Because your internal model of reality is one of the inputs that determines your future behavior. I realize that sounds like a contradiction, but it is actually the most beautiful mechanism in human cognition. Believing that your actions matter is a physical state in your brain. When you process the information that your choices have consequences, that data literally alters your neural pathways. If you adopt the fatalistic belief that nothing you do matters, that belief becomes a biological input. It suppresses your dopamine, lowers your motivation, and guarantees a depressive output. But if you act as though you have agency, even knowing that agency is an illusion, the system functions better. The neuroscientist Carl Friston refers to this as the active inference model. The brain constantly predicts the future and adjusts its behavior to minimize surprise. When you consume challenging information, like the fact that your habits are determined, that new data feeds back into the algorithm. It forces the system to calculate different probabilities and ironically produce better future outcomes. You don't have to possess magical free will to change your life. You just need to expose your brain to the right inputs, the right environments, and the right friction, so the machine can write better code for itself. We spend so much time fiercely defending the ego, insisting that we are the sole independent authors of our destiny. But there is a profound relief in letting go of that arrogant fiction. You are the universe mathematically calculating itself in real time. To summarize, the concept of free will is rapidly decaying under the weight of modern neuroscience and behavioral biology. We are highly complex, determined systems shaped entirely by a continuous chain of genetic and environmental causes extending backward to the beginning of time. You cannot control the initial inputs that made you who you are today, but the fact that you are aware of them is the exact mechanism that changes who you become tomorrow. If you prefer your reality unfiltered by the self-help industry, hit the subscribe button below.